when it can't nobody hold it.
Time, but he has to take accountability.
No doubt. Well, speaking about people representing our people, man, Charlamagne the God.
Great segue.
You know what I'm saying? Monique, went in on Charlamagne the God. So let's talk about this and let's see if Monique was out of bounds for this audio here and her husband, or were they dead on, on balls accurate about Charlamagne?
Yeah, before we get started, shout out to Comedy Hype, who's been just delivering great nonstop interviews with these great comedians that we love to talk about. So salute to you. I'll put the link, we'll all put the link in the description box so you can get this interview in full. But like Oga said, let's hear Monique and her husband on Charlamagne the God.
There's a big conversation now about mental illness in our community. Charlamagne the God, he's one of the people that try to advocate it constantly. I won't even accept that he is advocating for mental illness. Stop it, Leonard. Whichever camera is mine, Leonard. You're advocating for mental illness. He's big on that. That's his thing. Why that response to him on that? That response to him on that is because I've seen and heard the destruction that brother has done in our community. I've heard the poison that he's poured out over that air in our community. Now everyone's allowed to change. Let me say that. Everyone can wake up and say, you know what? I now see it differently. But I think that the only way we make change in our community is at first acknowledge we were part of the damage. So I say Leonard and we laugh, but in all seriousness, I think that brother played a big part in the destruction of our community. Now, he was not a big part because his span of time doing what he's doing or has been doing, I can't give him that type of negative credit, but it's the equivalent of saying there's a level of perpetuation of fame and a lack of empathy that I've seen him indulge in. When I watched, obviously Monique's interview with him, now he's speaking in reference to women's rights and things of that nature, where no one would question any of the kings of comedy. The kings of comedy, if you look at their career from DL to Steve to Bernie to Cedric, working consistently, flowing, no question. You look at the queens, what's the difference? And other than they are women. And there's a level of acknowledgement that wasn't given. When you see him having the interview with Kanye, and that man invites him out to his home, and then after interviewing with him, he's donkey of the day. There's a lack of empathy that this man gives to the community. So if you're an advocate for it, then that means you remove donkey of the day and you understand that people make mistakes. Or there's a level of consideration for people that I haven't seen him give, because it's more about ratings, it would appear. Somebody may have spoken to him and maybe he's opened his mind, his heart, and things of that nature. But there's a coarseness to his energy. There's a lack of connect to his people. And it's odd to me when I hear people and see him on CNN and they talking to him as if he's some authority. He hasn't had the tenure in this life to have the authority.
All right, okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I don't agree. I don't agree with a lot of it.
Okay.
What they say about Charlamagne. Now they can have their opinion, and maybe they got a little more insight than I have, in the situation. But I think they're giving him a little bit too much power. For what I've heard, he says some, off the wall stuff sometimes, and don't agree with everything that he says or his perspectives. But I think that he's been a great voice, for us so far. And obviously it's a situation where they know him personally. They had a lot of different, and they're putting him on a pedestal. And I just think that, especially with her husband, like taking away the donkey of the day and him not having sympathy for people, I don't think that's 100% accurate with Charlamagne, man. I think he does the best that he can do. And quite frankly, without that show, we wouldn't have seen, not even the people, but had some of the different conversations that become now mainstream topics. It wouldn't have been out there without that show. You know what I mean? So, I would just salute that show and salute Charlamagne, because I think it's huge for the culture. I think it's opposite actually.
Yeah. Let me say this about what Monique and her husband Sydney said. No, I got a ton of respect for Monique and Sydney. We've talked great upon them on this podcast on numerous occasions. We're on Monique's side when it was trying to get her money, was on Monique's side when she talked about Oprah. We're pro Monique over here. We just gonna give criticism where criticism's due. And I think that she took it a little personal, with all due respect. And I think that the breaking point in that was when it was her time to get her money with Netflix, the criticism that Charlamagne the God gave to her while she was trying to get her money. Now, I agree with her in having a little bit of feeling some kind of way about how he went at you, because you're a Black woman who's obviously had to go through hoops and hurdles to kind of pave her way and establish herself as a force in Hollywood. Why are you, a main stage in the multimedia, throwing shade on me while I'm trying to do so? That doesn't make sense.
Facts.
I don't like that. And that was all over their interview when she was calling him Leonard in there, and that energy was all off. And I think it stemmed off of that. I think that was the breaking point, because if he would have went on there and bigged her and saluted her, it would have been completely different. But one of the things that we love about Charlamagne, one of the things that people hate about Charlamagne, is he's always as honest as he's honest, but it's a little bit of criticism going into. But I think he was honest, brutally honest, in his feeling that, hey, he don't think Monique should have got the money. Should it have been said? Maybe not. But I think that's where it stemmed from. I'm glad that Sydney kind of cut Monique off, because I think that she was going to allow her emotion to go somewhere even deeper with that, and broke it down. Even though, like you said, I don't even necessarily agree with all of that. Right. I think that he does, even though, and I think this just comes with maturity and old age, because we remember Charlamagne when we were getting on the bus from Power 99 and Wendy Williams. We remember him when he went, what was it, 100.3 The Beat, when he worked with them for a while. We've been real closely connected to Charlamagne, being from the area we are, and him working where he has been. So we've watched his growth. Even in Power 106, we've watched his growth, and he's became just a little more of a mature man. We see it. I don't think that it was fair for them to go that route. I think it was a little more personal. But I will say this. I think that Charlamagne, and I have to give criticism here, when it comes to the politics and a little bit of the mainstream things, I think he is doing a little bit of ratings, and I would love to talk to him a little more about certain things and certain viewpoints that he promotes on that mainstream media, because I do agree with them when they say that brother has power, and that's why they're mad at him, because they understand the power. As much power as they were about to give him, not necessarily, but power nonetheless, because he's on the airwaves, on the radio, and we know the power between that.
Top radio show, probably the top show in the world. They get huge ratings, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely, a lot of weight. His voice holds a lot of weight. But see, with that position that he's in, and one reason why people love him so much and people hate him, because he's saying what people only think and won't say. He's always doing that. And when you do that, sometimes you're gonna offend people. Like, you offended a guy before. I'm sure I offended countless of people with certain things. You can't help it. It just happens. So maybe he shouldn't have said nothing. Maybe that was a mistake about the Monique, but he was just honestly speaking his opinion. Just like we might speak about somebody and say something like, man, forget this dude. I think he talk, so it just comes with the territory. You can't please everybody.
Let me ask you this. Because in one of the segments, and Monique, and that wasn't in that soundbite, but she said in regards to one of the people that did her wrong, I think it was Whoopi Goldberg. I forgot who. No, Oprah. Oprah owed her an apology. Do you think anybody out here owes anybody an apology? Do you think that term "owe you an apology" is wrong?
No, I mean, I mean, sometimes you probably could. I mean, whether it be in public or private, but I wouldn't say that. I mean, what was it from?
I don't necessarily. I don't remember. It probably was support. It might have been even a time around Precious, and around that time with Money and things like that with Oprah and Lee Daniels. Oprah may have said some things that she's difficult to work with, may have even blackballed her. So the feeling that it cut deep. It cut deep. So in that regard, I think Monique was saying, yeah, you owe me an apology.
Right.
You blackballed me.
She never ended up getting the money from Netflix. They said she wanted Monique.
She never got, I mean, you remember the Monique show. You remember the Queens of Comedy. At one time, Monique was hot.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, she fell off and never really could get back on. And she blames a lot of that on your Lee Daniels, your Oprahs, and things like that. I mean, she was drawing a big ticket. You can only imagine she was making some good money.
There's no doubt that people can get blackballed. It only happens, though, when you make yourself totally reliant upon their stuff instead of going out making your own, period.
So you think she fell victim of that a little bit, too?
Probably a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's not equipped to do that, though. So I'm not mad.
Yeah.
Some people are just going to just stay in that mode and just do that. You're going to have very few people who's going to be like a Master P and dive out and do their thing. Speaking of Master P, real quick, it's a quick segue to go to the next topic. What do you think about the movie? I got the hook up too. What's your thoughts on that?
Glad you talked about that. I like the movie. I liked it a lot. Now, I purchased the movie. I was out in Florida. I got to watch the movie. It reminded me of those old 90s comedies and just to make you laugh. Right. No real direction, but just make you laugh kind of storyline. It was funny as hell. Broke the record for storylines. I love the fact I let my son watch it on the airplane on the way home, and he was just telling me all the little the actors and the comedians that he knew from YouTube, from Instagram and things like that. So salute Master P from going out there and saying, nah, I don't need Hollywood. I don't need this. I'm going to grab these young grinders right here. I'm going to throw them a couple of dollars. I'm going to give them some speaking roles and we're going to make this happen. And that just a level of comedy when there's certain things that were in there that just made me laugh and remind me of conversations that we have in the pre-production, real shit that you can't put on the camera because people are too goddamn sensitive. They put in this movie and it was funny, man. I'm really happy at what Master P is doing. You got to go and support it. I heard some naysayers saying the shit was corny, the shit was whack. Listen, even it goes to show you how much it costs to make a fucking movie. Yeah. When you look at Master P and then you look at the level and the quality, and the quality was there, it was great, but it wasn't your Universal, your big Paramount. Right, that's because it's billions of dollars. We got to support him more so that they can get to that level. Right. But for the money they put into it, for the effort they put into it, Romeo sitting there co-producing it with his father. When you look at young celebrities and young stars growing up, we talked about Bow Wow being off the hinge and all these other young celebrities, and Lil Romeo, now Romeo, going to college and now directing movies, kind of going against the grain of that celebrity stereotype. Man, salute to them, man. Yeah,
it's just a stepping stone, man. So once again, salute.
Did you see it? Did you see it yet?
Nah, I didn't see it yet. Nope.
We might have to watch it together, burning real quick. Watch a little bit of it.
Check it out. It was about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's about an hour and some change. He saluted Nipsey in the beginning. Okay. You know what I mean? Did a real dope thing. Had Nipsey playing in the beginning, showed the basketball court, man. It was I liked it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, man, next story, man. We'll jump over here to the floor.